It is a gift and a cake all wrapped into one. It truly is a precious, and it's very feminine presentation with the peach, Nancy.
It is, but you know, you can change the colors and make it masculine too.
And this is rolled fondant?
This is rolled fondant, and I'll show you how to cover the cake with it. Also show you how to make the bows.
And the flowers, the
yeah,
daisies.
and the flowers. And some of this you want to make ahead of time, like the bow you want to make ahead of time so it'll be firm and sit up just like a bow does on top of the cake.
Like overnight, a day or two ahead of time?
Overnight. It could be a couple days too.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't make a difference, just so it's dry. And fondant does dry when it's exposed to air, so it's not a problem. Now I've rolled this out to about 1/8 of an inch thick on a nonstick mat, but you also could roll it out on your countertop, but you need to put either a little bit of cornstarch and confectioner's sugar, or you can put the two together.
Okay.
Then I've got a tool here that actually does the scallop portion of the bow. You could cut it out, you know, with a knife or a spatula if you wanted to.
Now is this called a cutter or an embosser? Or
it's a cutter and embosser set, and I'm just going to come along and put the pressure down so that you can see it actually makes a lovely...
That was quick and easy.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
So it gives it the little scalloped edges that you want.
And then let's pick this piece up, and if it seems to stick at all, just take your spatula and run that underneath.
Okay.
And we're going to, let me just go ahead and put this part on the cake.
Okay.
And I want to measure it first.
And then you just cut off your excess when you do have
And then I'll cut off
something
my
like that.
excess here in the back with that.
I'm going to tell people, if you haven't worked with fondant before, it is edible. Sometimes when you have the rolled fondant, it's nice to put a little buttercream under it, or
You
preserves.
can.
It adheres to the cake before.
Yes, and I'm just putting a little bit of water on here so it'll stick to the cake.
And don't be intimidated if you haven't worked in fondant before, because I am truly a beginner. And we did a cake last year for Christmas, and I had my daughter help me, and it was a lot of fun. It truly...
It's like modeling clay, so you shouldn't be afraid of it at all. Okay, now let's go ahead and cut some more.
But I think a lot of people are, you know, they see it on the wedding cakes and they're so elaborate and so impressive that sometimes you say, oh, I couldn't do that, but
it's really not. Now, see, there's a couple of rough edges here where the cutter came, so just kind of tap those in. Okay. And now for the bow, we're going to actually just make it as big as we want and turn it sideways.
So you're just making the loops right now.
I'm making the loops for the bows.
Okay.
And so it's even. You want to measure the same amount here.
And then to hold those open, is there a trick to
Yeah,
holding
you don't
them
want to
open?
lay it flat, because if you lay it flat, your bow is going to be flat like that. You see, so you're going to put it sideways, and you can pinch this together, and then I'll put a little wadded up paper towel in there so that it actually maintains the shape that I want it to have. And that's the main portion of your bow.
Because the bow is so nice just because it gives your cake height. It gives it a little dimension. It does make
it look like a real bow.
A wrapped present, it does.
Stick it in there and then we'll twist it together. So you just let that dry, and then you could, you know, obviously you can cut your strips that come down for your little streamers part.
How did you get the peach
color?
color?
Now we're going to color.
Okay.
And I like to wear a glove when I color because I don't like it getting all over my hands. If you do get some on your hands, you want to wash it right away and it will come off fairly quickly. But this is just basically your toothpick that you put in your icing color.
So this is an icing color. It doesn't have a flavor or anything like that?
No flavor. And I don't use liquid flavors or liquid colors in this, or liquid flavors with my fondant, because what happens is then it dilutes your fondant. And you can see there it's beginning to take its shape, and you just keep kneading that in until you get the color that you want.
And it comes in all different colors. You can find
there
the
are some
colors.
Smaller packs that now come in all different colors, but you can use any icing color that you normally would want to use.
And if you don't want to color your fondant, you can buy pre-colored fondant,
you can buy some pre-colored
and the pastels
fondant.
and the bright colors and
Now
everything.
this I've rolled out. Let me show you how you cover your cake. This is a lightly iced buttercream coating. It's called a crumb coating. You could use apricot glaze if you wanted, but with this I've rolled it out to about 1/8 of an inch thick, and then you'll just take your fondant and lay it over the top and let it shape.
It just falls around it with the heat
now,
of your
if you get a pleat, then you just kind of pull it a little bit more until it actually takes the shape of the cake.
It's actually much quicker than doing the whole buttercream icing an entire cake.
Well, sometimes it's hard for people to actually get a very smooth buttercream layer. Okay, and you can see I just keep going around like that and keep shaping it and tucking it under. I'm not going to finish that because I want to show you how to make the flowers, but you can see how nicely that conforms to
and
the
there
cake.
are some instruments you can use that will help you kind of cheat your way
Fondant
into a
smoothers.
smooth. Okay.
Now, I rolled this out before we started, but you can see there's a little tiny air pocket there. So you want to take a pin or a toothpick and just
roll it out.
Stick it in there and then roll it out so you get rid of your air pocket. Okay. And then when you cut your daisies.
And these are just cookie cutters that you're using for this?
These are actually gum paste cutters, but you can use cookie cutters if you want to. Probably the hardest thing with the daisies are to make sure that your points stay pointed.
And you
so
can
you
always
just go back in and tuck it back in like that.
You can always learn more about fondant or buttercream icing at classes around town that you can take and become a bit
now
more
this actually is a candy tray, but you could use an egg carton if you wanted to, and then you're just going to put them in there to dry so that you actually get, you know, that depth that's coming up.
Yeah, and it gives it that shape of like an umbrella or upside down as I try to lift it out.
And then you just make a little ball. Just roll it in your hand.
And just let these harden overnight.
Let those harden like that. Okay. And then we have something new here. This is fondant adhesive, and that's equal amounts of water and fondant, and you just stir it until it becomes kind of like a glue.
It's like a glue. Okay, it almost looks like wallpaper paste.
And so, but it's fondant, so it is edible, and that'll help you put your flowers on. Because if these flowers were wet, you could just use water, but because we've allowed them to dry, you know, you need to make sure that they're going to stick, and the fondant adhesive will make it stick.
Even on the side like that. We might need to hold it.
You might
Here, I'll hold it while you attach. Are you going to do
well, yeah, I'll do the bow. And now here's your bow, and this is how it dries hard. So we'll put a little bit of fondant adhesive on the bottom here.
Now, if you don't have the adhesive, could you use buttercream to attach the bow?
You could also use royal icing. So you just put some of that on there.
It almost looks like an egg white, you know, has that consistency. This, you know, this cake,
I'm just going to lay these bows here, but you'll see, you know, how you're building, and you just put it together like that. Now I have a piece of fresh fondant that I cut because, you know, you want it to kind of conform as you're not over the top of the bow.
Oh, okay. Just
so
to
that
give
way it covers up,
loop.
You know, gives you the loop, and it looks really nice and really, really finished.
Okay. Well, this would be great for a baby shower, a bridal shower, any Easter mother, just because. It's a birthday, yes, a perfect birthday cake. So go ahead, roll out some fondant and give it a try.